I never thought I'd have to start off a Genshin video in this way. All this video was supposed to be was talking about the latest Archon quest and my honest thoughts and feelings about it, but it devolved into a little bit of theory crafting based on a discussion that I had about a month ago and about 16 days ago from today. Now, literally in the past like 12 hours from now, on the 30th of May, there's been a couple of unfortunate leaks that have happened that have kind of made me reconsider even posting this video, and those leaks were brought to my attention by a friend, Albsters, and it was with good faith and good intent. So I am going to give a minor leak warning right now. I'm not going to say exactly what they are for the people that don't look at leaks. You'll understand if you do look at leaks, but I need you all to be aware. The following clips that you're going to see are all going to be dated and timed. This was all way before any leaks came out. With that in mind, enjoy the video. Dude, deadass, do you want to know what I think is going to happen? Genuinely, I was actually talking to Albsters about this the other day. After the latest live stream confirming that the Teyvat chapter storyline preview was actually more accurate than the information that we currently had in the game. And it always has been. Dainsleep is the one telling us all that information. He is also confirmed playable at the same time as the Travelers because, you know, it was at the very beginning of Genshin. I fully believe that the Teyvat chapter storyline preview is actually hinting at us that Kamriar is going to be the prequel to Genshin 2. Just like Mondstadt was technically the prequel to Genshin 1, like the prologue, right? When Kamriar shows up, the act is glitching out. Doesn't exist. So I really think Snezhnaya is going to be the final act of Genshin Impact 1. And I think we're going to end up getting Genshin Impact 2, and it's going to be Kamriar. And now I don't know whether Dane's going to be the MC necessarily, like the main character, if Aether does end up taking the throne, or Lumine, because you'd still need a male and female MC, and I doubt you're going to be able to use Aether/Lumine at that point, unless they make it Dane and Lumine, and they go with the fact that Aether was indeed the canonical MC this entire time. But I doubt that. So I don't know, maybe Dane would just be the first character and you can still use both siblings, we'll see, but I really do think Kamriar is going to be the first chapter of a new arc. I do. We'll see. All right, let's talk about the Dottore burning the Irminsul situation. So this was a pivotal moment in the Genshin story that we have known about for 4 years now. Winter Nights Lazo released like 4 years ago. We saw the vision of Dottore burning the Irminsul at the very end of that trailer, and it was a 4-year-long payoff until it actually happened, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. I've seen a lot of discourse, especially on Twitter, but also in my YouTube comments, which brought it to my attention, saying that this latest Archon quest really felt underwhelming and a lot of people are disappointed by it. Now, I want to give you my opinion as, number one, a Dottore lover as a character, number two, a lore enthusiast, and number three, just a general player of Genshin that's been playing the game for like 5 years now. And let me start off by saying, I personally really enjoyed the quest. Did it have some parts that I wish could have been a bit better? Yeah, but it might not be what you think it is. So the Dottore burn in the Irminsul section for me really was as good as I think they could have done it other than the cutscene itself. I think it's really difficult for Hoyo or any company to kind of surprise people or, you know, blow expectations out of the water on something that people knew was going to happen for 4 years and pretty much exactly how it looked like as well. It's a really tough thing to achieve. They maybe could have done it, but for me, Act 9 of the quest was incredible. Act 10 had a couple of slow moments. It was a lot of preparation for a very fast payoff. Was the payoff worth it? Yes. Could it have been extended a little bit and maybe a few extra cutscenes in there because it is something that the player base have been waiting for the past 4 years? Also, yes. I feel like the planning side of it went really well, even though it did drag out for a lot of people. I felt like the interactions were super fun, and I mean, the new 3 Musketeers, bro. We got Thoth, Sabek, and what was the other guy's name? Herishaf or something?
Naturally.
I really like those characters. I really like the introduction. I loved the dynamic between all the characters that were even just having general conversations, bro. Nicole and Farazan were peak, and we got some Al-Hytham and Kave, which is always going to be good, right? So I think the general world building of the quest was really, really good. Now let's talk about after all of the planning, because I feel like this is where the quest kind of disappointed a lot of people. Let me start this off by saying I actually think it would have been a much better idea to kind of do everything in a reverse order, which might sound crazy when you hear it at first, but hear me out. Instead of starting the quest with Collei's vision and basically knowing that, oh my god, it's going to be Dottore's frickin' experiment in blasphemy, right? It's the dream that we saw at the end of the Winter Nights Lazo, and then having all of the preparation for the big reveal that we knew was going to happen, I actually think it would have been a more fun quest for a majority of people if the quest just started with the tree burning and then us figuring out what the hell happened. Now, I'm not a better writer than the Genshin dev team. Let me just put that out there and get that straight real quick. I'm not saying what they did was wrong. I'm just saying I think a lot of people would have kind of preferred it that way. Now for me, like I said, I really enjoyed the preparation phase. I also really enjoyed the tree burning phase. However, I do stand by what I said before. I think it just happened too fast. Learning about Dottore was super fun. Learning about Zandik and all the other clones. Learning about Pantalone, his real name, what I assume is his real name, and his backstory about how he joined the Fatui under Dottore's wing. Again, super freaking cool. But the actual big thing that happened, which was the burning of the Irminsul, felt so quick in the grand consensus of things. It's like the whole quest, I think, for Act 9 and 10 was like 8 to 9 hours long. The burning of the tree was maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15, if you include the boss fight, maybe 20, like the actual fighting element of it. It all just happened so quickly. But that is what you get when there is such a long payoff. And it doesn't take away from the fact that it was very important and it was a very necessary step to progress in the main plot of the story. Because it brings me on to my next point. Although it might not have been satisfying for a lot of people to witness at the time, I actually think one more thing happened at the end of this quest that a lot of people don't realize. So when I was originally playing through the quest and it was mentioned that the pyro gnosis was gone, it like disappeared. They couldn't sense it. Mawika had no idea where it was. Nahida had no idea where it was. The Traveler has no idea where it was. We can't sense it. It's not like in this realm basically, or it's just really freaking far away. I thought Pantalone probably took it, either Data Dottore, who was stood with him at the very end of the quest before he dissipates into ash or nothingness, might have given it, or he just found it in the burning wreckage of Irminsul. But the more I thought about it, that doesn't really make as much sense as I would like it to. 10 months ago, something crazy happened. A new trailer dropped called the God's Limits teaser. It was actually a Teyvat chapter interlude teaser, which is specifically for this current story that we are doing right now. If you don't know, the first ever game trailer for Genshin that we ever got was the Teyvat chapter storyline preview, which was the entire storyline, which went all the way up to Snezhnaya and then Kamriar, but I'm going to talk about that in a second as well because I think it's really freaking important. So 10 months ago, the God's Limits teaser dropped, and they talk about a few things. They talk about Asmodee, the fact that she's got a new master, and at the very, very end, they actually tease something very important.
For lack of a direct order, I say it's time we intervened. Of course, to the extent permitted by the rules.
Now, so far, the Shades have had very minimal involvement to the point where a lot of people are like, oh my god, this is going to be another 4-year-long plot where the Shades are going to intervene at the very end of the game, and oh my god, it's going to be the same, and the payoff's not going to feel as good because they're leaving it so long. I actually think this has already begun. I like to think when Nahida spoke to the Shades at the end, which, by the way, I think would have been far cooler if it showed her actually speaking to the Shades' physical forms instead of the artifact-looking-esque things, which, that's a topic for another time, but it's kind of a confirmation now at this point that, you know, the plume of death, Renova being a feather, and sands of time and flower of life, you know, it's obvious, but that's a tangent for another time. What I'm trying to say is, I think the Shades probably took the gnosis. That's why it can't be seen. Where they are, not even the gods' gazes can reach. I'm pretty sure the Shades have taken the gnosis, but I don't think it's going to be a super long payoff till we find out why or how, because it doesn't make sense. Let me take you on to one of my crazy theories here. So previously, I mentioned the Teyvat chapter storyline preview. It goes through all of the nations. It shows which act the nations are. For example, Mondstadt was the prologue, and then it was Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to Snezhnaya. Now, after Snezhnaya, it shows Kamriar. A lot of people super excited for Kamriar. Dainsleif, naturally a Kamrian citizen, for example. But also, not just that, he was also confirmed as the first ever playable character. This is probably the longest payoff I think is going to be expected, but it's going to come in a very unexpected way. I don't think the Kamriar chapter is going to be part of Genshin at all. And you might think, what the fuck are you talking about, Bran, you freak? I don't think it's going to be part of the Teyvat chapter, at least not in the sense that we think. This game's been going on now for many, many years, and Snezhnaya feels like it's coming up to a culmination of everything we've figured out so far and leading to the end of a full chapter, at least in my eyes. And when you go back and watch the Teyvat chapter storyline preview, Kamriar doesn't actually have an act. It's obfuscated by some weird glitching, not necessarily Dottore glitching, but like it just doesn't exist yet. My thoughts are that's because that isn't for Kamriar at all. It's going to be for new Kamriar, which is going to be constructed by Lumine, the Loom of Fate, blah, blah, blah. I actually think we're going to see this God's Limit teaser revelation of the Shades intervening very soon. I think we'll probably see it at the very beginning of Snezhnaya, or at least within the first few patches before the final Archon quest, basically, because the Tsaritsa needs these gnosis to set a plan in action. nation, and we might see something insane. We might see the absolute obliteration of a nation here. We might see the obliteration of a shade, which would be even crazier, to be honest. But I have a strong feeling that the shades have already intervened. We're going to see the full breadth of that intervention during the beginning of Snezhnaya, and the Tsaritsa likely will get the gnosis, because I'm not being funny, bro. That has been the one constant throughout this entire game. The two constants we have had is that number one, we're looking for our goddamn sibling, and number two, the Fatui are getting all the damn gnosis. Everything else that has been a constant hasn't actually been a constant. For example, helping out the actual Archon of each nation hasn't always been the case, right? Sometimes it has, sometimes it hasn't. I mean, Nogcry didn't have a freaking Archon. Farina's technically not the real Archon if you look at it that way as well. Like, there's always been constants in Genshin. That is the two that I can think of right now. There's probably more, but that's the two that I can think of. I have a feeling after Snezhnaya, we're probably going to get a brand new chapter of Genshin Impact, which is going to follow the Abyss and Kamriar maybe a little bit more closely, especially New Kamriar. Maybe that's when Dane will become playable, maybe not, but we are, no matter how you look at it, coming up to the very end of this game. There is no other way to look at it. We're coming to the end of Genshin. Genshin 2 is on the horizon, and it's really close, whether it's 1 year away or 2 years away. I just really like to believe that the Kamriar was like an epilogue, I guess. We'll see if any of that comes to fruition. Let me know down in the comments what you think happened to the Pyro Gnosis, what you think is going to happen during Snezhnaya, and subscribe to the channel so you can keep up with future lore and discussions. Catch you in the next video.